Hello and welcome to the first video on ratio. So here we have an example question on ratio. It says in a class there are boys to girls in the ratio of 3 to 5. That means for every 3 boys there would be 5 girls. So boys represent the first part in the ratio, girls represent the second part. And we're told that there are 32 students in total. So if we write a B here to represent boys and a G for girls, then we can write 3 underneath boys and 5 underneath girls. And almost always, not in every single ratio question, you're going to write total at the end. So the total is for, in this case, the 32 students, for any total amount that might come up in the question. And if we've got 3 parts boys and 5 parts girls, then we've got 8 parts in total. So this is the way that I would approach almost all ratio questions. Then what we do is we look in the question, and they will always give us one extra piece of information, an actual number. So it might be the number of boys they give us, it might be the number of girls they give us, or it might be the total they give us. In this case, it's the total students, 32. So we write that number underneath the total. So if it were girls, we'd write it here. If it were boys, we'd write it here. It isn't. It's the total number of students, so we write it underneath here. Then we ask ourselves, how do we get from 8 to 32? What's happened there? And what's happened is we've multiplied by 4. So 8 times 4 is 32. So if we want this ratio to be exactly the same, then we must times everything by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, and then 5 times 4 is 20. So if we're going to have boys and girls in the ratio of 3 to 5, and there are 32 of them, we would need 12 boys and 20 girls. And a nice little check here is 12 add 20 makes 32. So the question said, how many are there of each gender? So this is not enough for our answer. We have to be very clear about which one we mean. So the boys, there would be 12, and the girls, there would be 20. Let's have a look at a second example then. So in this one we've got Jim and Tom, and they're sharing some money. So Jim and Tom, they're sharing £60, and the ratio is 4 to 1. So Jim's going to get 4 parts, Tom's going to get 1 part. So just as before, I'm going to write a J for Jim, a T for Tom, and then the total. And Jim gets 4 parts, Tom gets 1 part, and 4 add 1 makes 5 parts in total. So then I look for a number in the question. This time it's 60. £60 doesn't represent how much Jim has, it doesn't represent how much Tom has, it represents the total money. So the £60 is going to go underneath the total. Then I say, what do I multiply 5 by to get to 60? Well, in that case it's multiply 12, so I multiply all of the values in the ratio by 12. So 4 times 12 is £48, 1 times 12 is £12. And again, just to check that it's all worked, 48 plus 12 does make my £60 in total. So once again, I haven't answered the question yet. I need to state my answer very clearly. Jim gets £48, and Tom, unfortunately, only gets £12. Those are my answers to the question. So here are 3 questions for you to have a go at on this. Press pause, write down your answers, and then press play again, and I'll tell you what the answers were. Okay, here are the answers then. So we have Greg, Paul, and then total. And we have a ratio of 5, 2, and 7 parts in total. The £56 is the total money, so it goes underneath here. This time we're multiplying by 8, so 5 8s are 40, 2 8s are 16, in which case Greg receives £40 and Paul only receives £16. This next one, we've got Katie. She's got 2 different coloured sweets, and they are red sweets and green sweets. So we'll have an R for red, a G for green, and total. And the ratio is 3 to 8 this time. 3 add 8 is 11, so there are 11 parts. We've got 44 sweets, so that's the total number of sweets. This time we're timesing by 4. 3 4s are 12, 8 4s are 32, so how many of them are red? Now this time they didn't ask us for how many were green, they just want red. So red, there were in total 12 red sweets. And the final question, the ratio of the angles in a quadrilateral are 2, 3, 4. So we can't really label these this time because we don't have a name for them, so it's just the first angle, the second angle, and the third angle. So I'm just going to write the ratios down. We've got 2, 3, 4, and we still have a total. If we add 2, 3, and 4, we get 9. Now, this one's a little tricky because there's no other number in the question, but you should know that the angles in a quadrilateral or four-sided shape add up to 360 degrees. So the total angles is 360. That goes underneath the total 9, in which case you must be multiplying by 40, since 9 times 40 is 360. So multiply everything by 40, 2 40s are 80, 3 40s are 120, and 4 40s are 160. And it says what's the size of the largest angle? So this one here is the largest of those, so the largest angle equals 160 degrees. And that's the answers to the ratio questions.